Because here's what I know. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, I have an average self-image, and so I'm a 5. Here's what I know about that self-image. If I see myself as a 5, first of all, the people that become my friends will be in that level, that category of about 5 also. I won't go after 8s, 9s, and 10s because I'll not see myself as fitting into them. I'll see them as better than I am, and so therefore I will avoid them. In other words, my self-image determines the friends that I'm going to hang around with. And I'll tell you what else, your self-image determines who you marry. I've often said that we marry according to our self-image. And if you want to marry up, you got to have a good self-image. And if you don't have a good self-image, you're probably going to marry down. But everything about my behavior is going to be based upon not how I see other people, not how I see the job, not how I see my school and my friends and my teachers. It's going to be based all on how I see me. You see, I see you not as you are. I see you as I am. So if I see me as a 5, guess what? When you come around, I'm going to probably see you as a 5 also. If I have something challenging before me, if I just have an average self-image, I probably won't take the challenge because I won't see myself as accomplishing something that is worthwhile or difficult or a mountain to climb. Well, let's talk about the principle of having courage while facing difficulty. Now, when I think of that phrase, courage while facing difficulty, I think that's the only time you need courage. I've never needed courage in facing something that was easy. I never needed courage in facing something that was natural. I never needed courage on facing something that just fell into my lap. Every time I need courage, it's because it's a dark day, a difficult day. There's something before me that is probably bigger than me. So what am I going to do? How do I get that courage? How do I face that thing that is before me that just intimidates the heck out of me? Let's talk about it for a moment. The first thing I want to talk to you about courage is this, that you will never get rid of fear. So don't think that courage is the absence of fear. If you have no fear, it's not a courage issue, it's a mental issue, okay? We all have fears. The second thing I want you to know about courage is the fact that nothing is ever accomplished unless you do something. And courage gives you the power to do something. Courage gets you up, gets you walking, gets you started. The third thing I want you to know about courage is the fact that on the other side of courage is where the promised land is. In other words, the best things for you aren't on this side of courage, they're on the other side. You've got to go through that door. It's on that other side that you find the yeses of life. It's on that other side that you find the promises of life. It's on that side that you find the benefits of life. In other words, life is composed in this way, my friend. You have to pay a price before you get the goods. It's just the way it works. And any time you get the goods without paying the price, you begin to get a spirit of entitlement, which will hurt you instead of help you. So look at whatever you have to face or go through and understand two things. It will make you a better person if there's nothing on the other side. It will just make you a better, stronger person. But the odds are there's something on the other side. I wonder how many times I've missed that positive something on the other side because I didn't have courage to take action and open the door. I can promise you, I've had a lot of losses in those areas. You see, most of the losses that we have in life that hurt the most are losses that we never know because we didn't get there. So I would encourage you, the next time you see something before you that's formidable, big, intimidating, do it anyway. On the other side, you'll become a better person. And perhaps on the other side, you'll find the rewards of going through that door of courage. I want to encourage you to be a person of courage. It will make you a better person.
Here's what you got to do. Number one, self-confidence is more important than product or price, or your brand or your title. It's more important than anything, okay? Self-confidence is everything. You have to build your self-confidence. Number two, self-confidence can be grown and must be grown. I am much more confident today than I was when I was 25 years old. I've spent the last 30 years working on swag. Number three, drill every day on your skills. Whatever your skill is going to be, okay? You got to drill that skill so that you become more and more competent and more confident. And number four, most importantly, and we'll be talking about this with other people that are calling in, tap into delusional wackos like myself. No, I'm a realist, baby. I'm about real. I'm about, look, you got to know what the threat is in the environment. I'm going to tell you who's going to survive, okay? The delusional, the crazies, the wackos, okay? Those German shepherds ain't got a chance with that little kitty cat that walks the sidewalk and says, bring it on, ding dong, bring it on. I'm delusional. I'm willing to play with the big boys and girls. I'm willing to leave my home and go get new ideas. You know, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the Carlos Slims of the world. Why do they travel to Davos, Switzerland? Why do they end up in Wyoming to meet together? Why? They don't want to be around their homies. They want to be around players, man. They want to be around expansion and thinkers. They're not worried about what it costs to fly over there. And let me tell you something. These guys were doing this before they were rich. They're not worried about spending the little bit they have. They're interested in getting on lines that are powerful strategies that can change everything. See, this is the way you need to think now. You need to become delusional. You need to get outside the comforts of your home. You're in Indianapolis, or you're in Illinois. Look, man, if the people that you work with every day were going to change you, you'd have already changed. If you want to 10x your game, you got to go around 10x people. You have to become delusional. You must become obsessed with success because there's so much stress in this system. It's going to get worse and worse, I'm telling you. The only people that will win are people that are thinking like me at 10x levels, that are working every day at their goals, their strategies, their ideas, that are thinking like Steve Jobs that says the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that will change the world. Look, this idea, this thinking's not for everyone. It's just for the successful, okay? I tell people all the time, look, my deal is not for everyone, man. I can tell what's going to happen with you in your future is how you respond to my message. I'm not saying I'm right. Maybe we're both right. You can be right. Be as right as you want to be. You're going to be broke if you don't listen to my advice here. The fundamental characteristic of entrepreneurs is not, successful entrepreneurs, is not risk-taking. It's self-confidence. What does that mean? You know, is self-confidence on your financial statement? Is there a budget for self-confidence in your is there a place for self-confidence investing in your budget? Look, if self-confidence is that important, I mean, do you know anybody that's highly successful that doesn't have confidence? Christopher Columbus sold the queen. No, I'm telling you, there's something over there. Give me 3 boats. That's all I need. Give me 3 boats. I'm going to go over there. There's something there. I'm going to find something there. All the great discoveries were where somebody left their home and went out. Notice how big a problem this self-confidence thing is. Just look at your work. Look how few people are willing to leave home. I know people that won't go across town for an opportunity, much less leave the state. Delusional, baby. I'm telling you, get delusional, get wacko, get crazy, get insane. Make self-confidence the most important thing in your life, in your business, in your career, in your attempt to go get market share, get money, or success, whatever you call it. I'm telling you, number one, self-confidence is the most important, more important than product. It's more important than price. It's more important than title. If you have a sales staff, you have a company, and you're starting up, dude, I'm telling you, make self-confidence, the growth of self-confidence in your group, the first thing and the most important thing every day. Number two, self-confidence can be grown and must be grown. It must be grown. You have to make a commitment as an executive, as a manager, grow the self-confidence. Grant, how can you do that, Grant? You either got it or you don't got it. That's crazy, man. You either got it or you don't got it, okay? My 5-year-old has been swimming underwater since she was maybe, 3 weeks old. I waited for 2 years to get my second child in this pool. Who do you think has more self-confidence in the pool? The first one. I grow self-confidence. So what am I doing with my 2-year-old now? Is every day I'm bringing her to the pool. Every day, over and over, I'll build self-confidence. Number 1, self-confidence is more important than anything. Number 2, self-confidence can be grown and must be grown. Number 3, drill your skills every day. Drill your skills. I do this with my sales team and my staff. Drill your skills. Look at this guy. You think he took that first wave that first day? I doubt it. I'll bet he was out there 1,000 times before he ever took on a monster. And number 4, you got to tap into delusional people. I'm telling you need to tap into wax. You hang around the people that you grow up with, you're not going anyplace. I've made 6 moves in my life. 6 times I've moved from my comfort where I was doing well, to some other place. All 6 of those moves expanded my business because they expanded me. All 6 of them. Okay? Every great move that I've made in my life, every great elevation I've made was a result of me leaving home to spend time twice a year. I go off and spend time to get educated, to get refueled, to get rebooted, to build my confidence. Okay? I go to Europe. I'm excited because I come back. I'm reinvigorated by this possibility of a planet that's expanding. Look, you got to get away from home. You got to get away from the freaking average, thinking inside the box, settling, familiar noise of your environment. You got to go some other place. What am I telling you? I'm telling you, look, you got to get delusionally optimistic. That's right. You got to get delusionally optimistic. How do you do that? How do you build this thing called confidence? Look, I know a bunch of car dealerships out there that you guys think that confidence, either you got it or you don't got it. That's not true, man. You build it, you grow it. When I was 25 years old in sales, I had 0 confidence. I'm telling you, I was as close to 0 or maybe behind the 8 ball. I might have been negative confidence with girls, with sales, with new people. At a party, I was a wallflower. How do you do it? You grow it. You grow it. First, you decide, I can grow my self-confidence. Number 2, you decide that's the most important thing. Let me give you this list so you can walk away with this takeaway, if you will. Number 1, self-confidence is more important than anything else. You got to make it the most important thing. Number 2, it can be grown and it must be grown. Number 3, drill a skill every day. Whatever your skill is. Like Paulie's here with me today, he's on graphics, okay? So he's drilling his skill every day. He needs to literally pay attention to, I'm drilling the skill, I'm getting better and better at it every day. And then you got to tap into some delusional people, man. You need to pick some friends that are freaking wax.
What would it profit you or me if we spent all of our life in our career? I mean, we just worked hard and month by month, year by year, we just climbed the rungs of success. And I mean, we just really went at it. And I mean, we worked hard. What would it profit you or me to spend our entire life climbing the ladder of success, only to get to the top and discover that it's leaning against the wrong building? And yet I see it all the time. I see people who literally spend their entire life and career doing something that they weren't born to do. What's your passion? What's your strength? You see, once you discover your passion, you'll never work another day of your life. Because the moment you discover your passion and you love what you're doing, it's just something that you love to do and it doesn't seem like work to you. And people that are successful, they know their purpose in life. They know why they are there. Now, I would encourage you, and especially some of you, because so many of you are young, you do have to understand at my age, everybody looks young now, okay? So I used to think it was amazing. Now it's just like John, they're all young now. But I would encourage you at your age to really help for you to pursue this area of what is my passion, what was I born for, what is my calling, What is my strength zone? And whatever it is, I would encourage you to get right there and stay right in your strength zone. Now, I'm gonna make a statement. Again, I'm not in your notes yet, but just kind of keep taking notes and relax, okay? I'll go fill in the blanks a little bit later, okay? But I want to stay on this for a few moments this morning. What I have discovered is that I'm going to say something that's going to perhaps seem a little bit odd to you, but just stay with me and let me talk you through this process for a while. You see, I encourage people to discover their strengths and then stay with their strengths. And I'm going to say something to you that is kind of culturally opposite of what you're used to hearing. I'm going to say to you this morning, in the area of your skills, don't work on your weaknesses. You say, oh my goodness, what do you mean? Don't work on my weaknesses. The reason I'm telling you not to work on your weaknesses is because you're weak in your weaknesses. Okay? Now, that's in the States, that's totally opposite of everything we've been trained. Because in our education system in the States, if you get an A in math and you get a C in language, then they tell you to work on your language. Is that the way they do it here in Singapore? Huh? They say, well, work on your language. And I'm saying if you got an A in math and a C in language, don't work on your language. Just get on your knees and thank God you got a C. You probably deserved a D or an A. Now, why do you get an A in one subject and a C in another subject? Because some subjects kind of fit your leanings and other subjects don't. Isn't that true? Now, why I'm saying for you to work on your strengths, don't work on your weaknesses in the area of skills, watch this. From a 1 to a 10, if I'm a 2, which is not very good. If I'm a 2, and I really work hard and say, oh my goodness, I don't want to be a 2. If I really work hard, I don't know, maybe I can get to a 3. Maybe after years I could get up to a 4. But you see, 4 is below average. And people don't pay for average. In other words, if I work on my weaknesses, I'll never excel, I'll never distinguish myself, and nobody will ever want what I have. Let me turn that around. Let's say I'm above average. I'm a 7 in an area. And I say, oh, good night. I'd like to work on my strength here. And I go from a 7 to an 8 to a 9. Now I get up there in that 9 category. People stand in line for 9s. You see, you got to work on your strength. If I work, for example, I love to sing. I just love to sing. That's the good news. You already know what the bad news is, don't you? I'm not any good. Now, I love to do it, but I'm not any good. So let's say I said to myself, well, my goodness, I'm going to get good at this. So I'm going to get a voice teacher and I'm going to take music appreciation and I take lessons for 2 or 3 years. Can I tell you, after I've taken voice lessons and practiced hard for 2 or 3 years, instead of being a 1, I might be a 2.5. In other words, you still don't want to hear me sing. And you certainly aren't going to pay for it. You may pay me not to sing. Now, when I talk to people about not working on their weaknesses, again, it's a culture paradigm shift because we think, well, I've always got to work on my weaknesses. I got to work on my weaknesses. And I'm saying, no, in the area of skills, don't work on your weaknesses because, as I've said, you're weak in your weaknesses. People don't pay for average. You don't. I don't. You don't run down to the store and say, boy, if I could just get an average telephone. Man, this would be super. You don't go in a TV store and say, do you have an average TV? No. You don't go to the restaurant and say, oh, I can hardly wait to go to an average restaurant and get some average food. No, you don't do that. And when you go to the average restaurant and the hostess starts to take you to your seat, you don't say, excuse me, I don't want a great seat. Could I have an average seat? I don't want one like by the window or, overlooking the water. I just like to have, do you have a seat that nobody else wants? And before the host leaves you, you don't say, excuse me, just one more thing. Do you have here an average waiter? I don't want a real good one. Oh, no. I'd like to have one that comes slow, doesn't fill the glasses. I would like to have one that messes up the order, brings the wrong food. And when the average waiter comes to the average table at the average restaurant, you don't look at that person and say, oh, by the way, I don't want to know what's special here. What's average? Do you have any food that no one else has ordered today? And when you finish it with that experience at that average restaurant, at that average table, with an average waiter, an average food, you don't walk out of that restaurant and look at your friend and say, wow, I'm pumped. No. People don't pay for average. So let me ask you a question. Why do you love it so much? Why do you settle for it? You see, one of the secrets of success is for you or me to find out what we're good at and to have a passion to do it and stay in our strength zone. And don't worry about your weaknesses. Your weaknesses are weak, and they always will be. Now, I'm talking about your skills. I'm not talking about other weaknesses. I'm not talking about, for example, if you're weak in attitude. I mean, if you have a bad attitude, you with me on this one, huh? I'm not saying, oh, if you got a bad attitude, don't worry about it. Just because you're disgusting and nobody likes you, it's okay. No. I'm talking about skills. I'm not talking about attitude. I'm not talking about discipline. I'm not talking about things that will make or break you in life. I'm talking about your skill set. Don't try to work on your weaknesses. It's just that simple. I was doing this lecture recently, and I had a person kind of raise their hand and kind of take me to task on it. Because they didn't like this, don't work on your weaknesses, and they said, well, now wait a minute, John, how about Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods is a golfer, and if he maybe plays a bad round, what does he do? He goes over to the driving range, and he maybe for the next hour or 2 hours, he works on his swing. And he said, there's a perfect example of Tiger Woods. He's working on his weakness. I said, no. Tiger Woods is working on his strength. He's a great golfer, unless you don't notice that. He's one of the greatest golfers in the world, and when he goes and works on his swing, you understand he's already got a great swing. He's in his strength zone. He's just trying to take one of his little niches and weak areas in his strength zone. He's staying right in his strength zone. He's working on golf because he's a great golfer, just like I would work on communication because I'm a communicator. He's not working on his weak. He's not working on his weak. He's working on his strength. Let me explain it this way. When Tiger Woods goes to the driving range and practices, it helps him because it's his strength. When I go to the practice range and I practice, it doesn't help me. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. And if I practice in something I'm not good at, I don't get any better. I just get permanently bad. And so when you work on your weaknesses, when you work on your weaknesses, you're just going from very bad at best to bad. Hello? And people say, oh, I'm so glad they've been working on it. They're bad, but I'm really glad they're working on it. It's just, they're never going to get good. Successful people, they know their purpose in life.